Too late.
We are live. I always laugh because as we jump into the live stream is always the time I need to close all the things open on my desktop, and it goes choppy. You think we're prepped. We're not. No, not at all. But today we are talking DEF CON 29, and I am freaking pumped about it. A couple of us are going virtually. A couple of us are going in person. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the nuance, we'll say, the wonkiness about going virtually and in person. Some of the contests we're looking forward to, what we are going to do while we're there. Parties will probably be had. Hopefully some live streaming will happen at the con. But with that, so happy we're doing the live stream. Guys, what were your thoughts? You looking forward to DEF CON? It's coming up.
So why don't we start with who's doing what? Who's going, who's staying, what are your plans? Let's start with Gator. He's up on the stream.
And now it's
I have you guys backwards. Oh, this is weird. Hold on. There we go. Now everyone's where they're supposed to be. I flipped the order on you guys and threw you off.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought
Gator,
Gary
kick
was in
us
the
off.
wrong place.
So this year I'm
never
going
in the
fully...
wrong place. Always where he wants to be.
He's always on the correct side, right? So I'm going fully remote this year. So I will be chatting with you guys on Twitch and Discord and such, and then seeing whatever live streams that you do remotely from Vegas.
You'll be taking part. I'm bringing all the streaming stuff, and we'll pull you in. Absolutely.
What are you looking forward to? Are you doing any events? Are you doing any contests? Are you running Darknet? What are you doing this year?
So yes, Darknet's going to be a little bit more chill this year, and it's going to be completely online. And not only that, so we're going to be doing things online, not in person. And yes, I'll be helping running that for this year. There was a few classes I was able to get in last year on the workshops for Blue Team. So I have yet to actually make my schedule, but DEF CON is always epic. And to be honest with you, they did a really decent job last year of getting different workshops online for folks to join in. So as soon as I start building that, I'll probably start posting about it to get more people online and talking, because this is a great opportunity to get to DEF CON even virtually if you've never gone before.
Yeah, I'm amazed. It's actually already... So if you're looking and going virtually, they already sold out for the badge. You can go virtually. You can get the Human Plus, which gives you access to... anyone can access Discord for free, which is awesome. They open the conference for free. You get a few more access for a couple more rooms, a couple more Discord events if you pay for Human Plus, which is reasonable. It's like $20. I'll grab the image and I'll throw it up on stream.
Just did it.
But the actual badges are sold out if you're going virtually. So you'd have to go in person, or have a friend who's going, who you might have on the stream, who can ship you one maybe.
So let's actually rewind and talk about the structure of the conference real quick. Silk, we sent you the picture for the different badge prices, and we can talk about what's going on. So this year at DEF CON, it is both virtual and in person. The in person is going to be somewhat limited. They think it was going to be anywhere from 20 to 40% of a normal con. We were guessing it would be somewhere between 20 to 30%, not as high as 40. And DT recently, Dark Tangent recently posted on his blog that they have pre-registrations at about 6,000 people. Down from prior years of around 30,000 people. So we're sitting safely in the 25% zone, maybe a little less even.
I'm curious what will happen when we get closer, because there's a few things we know are going to happen. We know restrictions and overall numbers for COVID are dropping. There we've talked about there might be a spike in the fall. But I think as we get closer, pre-registration doesn't seem like there's a deadline to close. And I'm wondering if as we get closer, we're going to get a spike in people who decide to go. I think that casinos have already said they're going to allow 80% capacity. Now, that's only Paris and Bally's, which unlike where we were spread against Planet Hollywood and Darknet, or DEF CON was just across everything. I mean, there's a lot of wiggle room for more people to come in, I think.
Right, so
those weren't projections. That was 5,000 or 6,000 people actually pre-registered.
Yeah, so let's talk about this in terms of Dark Tangent's blog update, which was 4 days ago. So this is totally current information. We don't have to speculate. This is what they knew as of, I guess Wednesday, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been a month since we opened pre-registration. Based on the current registration, we should reach our minimum viable con in 2 weeks. We currently project attendance of around 6,000 plus, but we don't know how many people will YOLO and try on-site registration. Now, online, it says that you must pre-register to show up, which would imply that if you show up and attempt in-person registration, with the exception of black badge holders, which are handled in person. So if you're black badge, show up, they'll have your badge. You don't have to pre-register. But other than that, their original statement was you must pre-register to show up in person. I don't know what this statement... We currently project 6,000, but we don't know how many people will YOLO and try on-site registration. That seems to imply that they are thinking about it. However, there's a follow-up to this. they have released their space in Flamingo, Link, and Harrah's, and they are limiting the conference to only Paris and Bally's. What that means is they will end up being capacity restricted, right? So because they don't have space in the other hotels, which would have allowed them to have the 20, 30,000 people that they normally have year after year, they may disallow registration on site after a certain point if they allow it at all. It's very, very part of me thinks if someone shows up with cash in hand, they're gonna do it until they run out of badges or something like that. But the other part of me thinks they might just cut it off and hold on to it, because they also said, we are not planning any changes. Again, this is 4 days ago. So, con is in less than a month and a half. I don't expect this to change. They are not planning any changes in the safety precautions previously announced. You still have to wear a mask. They're not going to lift that restriction no matter what the CDC says or what anyone is doing right now. So take that into account. And they're going to still require vaccinations, which I presume means in order to get your badge, you're going to have to show your vaccination card. I presume that's what it means. They qualified this with, we don't want to be like that Bitcoin conference in Florida, which I don't know what it means because I'm unaware of this.
Does anyone have context on that one?
Yeah, I presume there's a Bitcoin conference that had COVID.
Oh, sheesh.
I don't know, man.
I have to imagine, I don't know, the mask one to me is an interesting one, and not necessarily to get into it, but I'm because at this point the casinos aren't requiring them, the CDC doesn't require them, so it's weird to me. But again, it's such a weird topic once you start talking about it, and I think I'm glad they just at one point just made a stand this is what we're doing. It's not going to change. Don't make your plans on it. That's not going to change. This is what we're doing. Right. So I kind of just like that, especially with this, when the virtual started, it felt like kind of, we talked about it in stream before, which was the kind of I hate that DEF CON's put me in this position between, I either have to feel like I'm missing out by going, or feel like I'm missing out by being virtual or being on person. And then even if you look at the contest this year, which I know is something we're going to talk about, all of the contests are virtual. There's 2 which are in person. Almost every one of them is hybrid. But what does hybrid even mean when it comes to some of these contests?
Yeah. So
some of them will run on gas. Some of them will run on electricity and battery.
Some will be pure cornstarch, right?
To put a nail I'm going to put a nail in the mask issue, and then we can leave it behind. I think they made the decision just to require everybody to make a mask because of the issue behind not being able to trust vaccination records, right? Mm-hmm. There's all of this question of people can forge them, et cetera, et cetera. What are you actually going to need? I think they're going to accept whatever proof that you show up with, and then they're just going to say you still have to wear a mask because it's DEF CON. We don't trust anyone. Come on. Which I think is totally on theme, and whatever. We're done with it, and it'll be gone next year.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I didn't really think about, but one thing I'm hoping, again, please, someone, I really want a mask village, because I need someone to figure.
Right?
I just want. I need it in my life, and the main reason I need it, I said something to my father yesterday. I'm so sick of wearing a mask, and anytime you tell anyone, you get different reactions, and they're like, "Yeah, because it's all about control, power to the people," and you're like, "No, I'm sick of eating my own beard." That's all it is.
Yeah.
Ignoring COVID. I'm just sick of eating my own beard.
Sweaty face.
Yeah. Again, it was another one, actually, random tangent. I went to Mexican last night. I picked up Mexican. Usually I always cook, but I went out and I picked up food. And someone I haven't seen in a very long time is he puts out his hand and he's like, "Let's shake hands." And I looked at him, I'm kind of laughing. I'm like, "Oh, you're back to doing that again." And he's like, "I never stopped." And I'm like, "Oh, God." But he's like, he puts his hand out to me. And I'm like, I don't want to shake your hand. And it has nothing to do with COVID. I just don't want to shake your hand. I don't know where your hand's been. I didn't want to shake your hand prior to COVID. I'm a germaphobe, so it makes sense. But random tangent there. I'm just don't want to touch
spit
it.
on his hand and move on.
That's funny.
So I do have one point about the mask. So I plan on. I'm going to continue to wear a mask in my day-to-day life. I hate wearing the mask because it fogs up my glasses. It's driving me crazy. But I actually like wearing the mask because I can. The part that I'm curious about is the casinos don't require it. The CDC doesn't require it. Is the casino going to fall back on its old policy for DEF CON and say, you can't wear a mask inside the casino because we can't see your face?
Right?
Ooh.
I'm very curious as well, Gulo. Very curious.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
Really interesting point.
And that's totally separate from. I mean, I can't imagine the casinos will disallow people because of the mask, like especially if they're spending money.
Yeah, but look, there's going to be what were called DEF CON masks, and that's the other one. Like really randomly, I'm looking forward to is like the ones that are like the full blown like
Furry
glass helmet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's
okay.
there's definitely gonna be first, but the full blown. I remember Deviant I had seen wear one like in an airplane, and I'm like, the vendor area is going to be selling those things too, which I think is going to be hilarious.
Totally want to see them because we have an opportunity to cyberpunk the hell out of these things, and that's the DEF CON I want to see this year, man. I want a pimp your mask contest.
Michelle and I.
Anybody can go off and just print something off of Thingiverse or get something off of Etsy, but actually testing it to show
Be some kind of mask related.
Pink noise masks.
not
Well,
in the casino, guys.
yeah.
Seriously.
It's right now on what is.
Dust. So I think I would agree with you, Gulo.
I think that. All right, if I go, and now I'm actually really going to try to go, we're already leaders in what we do. Darknet started because Smitty sat down and he read some awesome books by Daniel Suarez. Great books, highly recommend. Damon and Freedom. And then he's like, I'm going to make this little badge and I'm going to take it to I'm going to take it to the conference. I'm going to try to sell them and see if people can hack them together and build them. And then I sold out really fast. I'm going to try to bring in more. So he bought more, and then he brought in some other people to help him, and they built a little game engine. And it just kind of grew out of nothing. It was an idea that Smitty had that he wanted to try. He tested it. It seemed to function. So the following year, he added to it. And then the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that. And then we soon became one of DEF CON's largest competitions, one of the largest contests, most popular contests. We became their most popular badge for a long time as well.
I mean, I would say we became a production at this point. Like it's a production.
Yeah.
Darknet has become a production where we're holding meetings throughout the year. We're talking about what the story is going to be almost a year beforehand. Like it's being produced.
It's
not a bad thing. I'm just saying it's grown to that level.
I mean, we just had a meeting. So this year is the 10th anniversary of Darknet, and we just had a story meeting, and we were laughing. We're like, there's 10 years of story here we need to go through and summarize and share with people. And like Sanity and Skyria, who have just done an incredible job on it. It's like, we're having meetings, not even just meetings on Darknet in general, but meetings specifically just for the story of how to communicate that over this 10 year. Oh, and Smitty's on stream. There we go.
Hey.
Get to catch it live.
You're just talking about
Because said his name too many times.
Say it too many times.
But so this is kind of my point. We take something cool, we take something that we love. The hardware hacking village started the same way. I'm sure the crypto villages, lockpicking, I'm sure all of the villages and most of the contests have all started this way. And I have to question, I'm curious now, did we become too corporate with Darknet? And which is fine to do, but once again, this is a hacking conference. If there's only 6,000 people at DEF CON, we're going back to old school. I'm pretty sure the four of us could just roll up in that place and start taking things over.
Oh, yeah.
Hostile takeovers,
Absolutely.
but start creating our own talks, start creating our own things. and try to get other people involved in doing those things rather than keeping their heads down, walking around, not making eye contact. We can bring back the old things that we used to do all the time at con.
I mean,
Are you saying that you need to be a creator versus a consumer,
that's
Gulo?
funny. I mean, just go back to what were the three things that Smitty said he wanted to be about: meeting people you wouldn't have otherwise met, doing something you wouldn't have otherwise done, and learning something you wouldn't have otherwise learned. Like we talk about this every year when we run Darknet. You know what the intents behind it are. Is it supposed to be a contest? Is it supposed to be a learning thing? Is it? And it always comes back down to like if it fits in those three things, then that's what it is, right? If you can fit it inside of that, that's what Darknet can be. But yeah, so maybe like the question is how many people are going to show up that know of Darknet or have engaged with Darknet, and there's this doer and follower issue, right? You can start to do something, but you need those 1, 2, 3 followers to initiate the crowd, and then you start attracting everyone else that's there. If you can't get those couple of followers to start it, then the goons will kick you out.
So I'm a leader. I'm not a manager. I'm a leader, and the way that I describe a leader is someone. The things that I do, I get excited about and I think are cool. And because of my excitement, other people get interested in it. So if I sit down and start a talk, if I sit down and start hacking on some hardware or cracking Wi-Fi, whatever it is, if I'm loud, obnoxious, and super excited about it, people will come. They will gather around to figure out what's going on. Some of them will stay, and then they get excited because now they're learning and they're able to do things. And that's kind of how I view doing things at DEF CON. I'm super loud and boisterous and go out and do all these crazy things at the con because that's what I do there. And other people get excited. They may be shy to start with, but they'll start doing it as well. That's
one
how,
of the,
go ahead.
So that's one of the awesome things seeing about the community grow as well, is that we jumped on Discord, we started growing that out there, and then seeing people come out of their shells as agents year over year and go from somebody who is just getting to learn how to solder for the first time to creating their own badge, to helping other people get in, not only create their own badge, but then help out with bringing new folks to the con and getting people excited about technology again, or learning how to take something apart. And that's the part that just, I never knew that there was something that pure and that awesome with the light bulb moment of, oh my God, this works. This is awesome. And the only other, and seeing this in a full grown adult versus seeing it as in a child growing up, it's great to see it when a child is growing up. I thought we lost that when we got to an adult. DEF CON and specifically Darknet showed me otherwise, that it's absolutely, hey, you can still have that spark and get inspired to do something and participate with something that you've never done before. And it's awe-inspiring.
Hacker summer camp, man.
Yes, it is.
The Lost Challenges. I remember, I think it was DEF CON 15 or 16, where they had I think it was the Egyptian theme at the time, and they had the giant floor things that had all these codes and stuff on them. And people would stop and they would stare at that. And you'd have the people competing in the Lost Challenge, and they're over there talking. They're like, do you think this symbol means this? Do you think it's Rot 13? And they're just talking about things. And then more people gather around, and they're like, have you thought of this? Did you try this? Did you do this? And then you have people that are now going from floor decal to banners. And now you've started forming teams to compete in the Lost Challenge that were just random people that were standing there eavesdropping on somebody else being excited about trying to crack something. And that's the heart of DEF CON to me, is having someone there that sparks your interest. That light bulb moment that Gator was just talking about, everyone gets excited and you have to go for it and you have to do it. Sometimes we do stupid shit. We light things on fire. We drink too much. We go to parties. We drown. There's all kinds of random things. But there's also the tech things. And you make lifelong friends. I mean, Silk Gator and Gallery, I don't know how long I've known you guys for. It's been several years now. But you guys are lifelong friends. I may not talk to you every day. I may not talk to you every year. But 10 years from now, if I message you, I'm going to speak to you the same way I'm talking now because I have no concept of time.
Well, last year, what was it? No, 2 years ago, Gator, me, and Gulo shared a hotel room, and
Never
for
to be
almost
repeated.
for almost a whole week, and we developed a special bond during that time.
There was cuddles to be had.
Gulo and I are no longer around. Gulo and I are no longer allowed to share a room.
And if you're wondering about that, shameless plug, go check out the urinal cake video, and you can get a little bit of that view right there.
Speaking of which, this is. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to mention. Smitty asked, "Where are we talking?" We weirdly had YouTube stream go down, so it's kind of between Twitch and YouTube. If the YouTube one's up, go ahead, stay on there. We're monitoring both.
YouTube's back up.
Oh, fantastic! If the full video is not there, I'll just pull down the stream and upload the video. I do have like a local recording of it. But you hit on something which is so interesting. And I'll hand it back to Gowrie, was this community aspect of DEF CON. Yes. And I think what has happened over the years is DEF CON's huge, 30,000 people. And that's why I'm so excited this year, because it's going to be smaller. But with 30,000 people, it's hard. You get overwhelmed. It's hard to find your tribe, the people you get along with, to find those people who like are excited about the same things you are. And don't get me wrong, with 30,000 people, you can just get overwhelmed. And I think that's what Darknet did. Is it was a smaller group of people, and it was consumable. It was an easier place to consume it. And we had aspects of social engineering, of hardware hacking, of soldering, of wireless, and you had all these different aspects. It was like a mini con. And as it grew, I think people got like that was their intro to DEF CON there, and then went and ventured out elsewhere.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and that was actually part of the intent, right? Like part of one of the reasons why we started going to the other villages and saying, hey, we want to integrate your village into this challenge. The biohacking village for our one badge year, where we had viruses spreading badge to badge. Our intent was to treat it. We would teach people, like, if this is your first con, play Darknet, because we'll send you everywhere. And then next year, go, in the process, you'll find things that you're interested in, lockpicking village, all these things. It's kind of a taste of everything. But yeah, I think the complicating factor, we don't want to go too far down the Darknet hole, but I think the complicating factor is when we became a quote unquote official contest, it started growing and growing and growing. And that some things get away from it, that original intent of what it was supposed to be or what it is gets away from it. But that's kind of another discussion for another day. I think
there's something to be said about like when that year it touched being a black badge, and there was a couple of years where it was a black badge contest. There's stories to be had there about the community pulling back right when it was a black badge. Was okay, I need to win the black badge, and not necessarily it ruined some of the community aspects. But
we had to change things because of that from year to year, because we didn't know it was going to be a black badge either. And a couple of years we actually went and said no. We don't want it to be a black badge because of how it changed instantly as soon as it was announced, how it changed the community to where it was all competitive versus being cooperative. And we're trying to help teach people new skills, not compete against each other. So yeah, they're constantly learning and changing.
So let's bring it back to we're talking about DEF CON. I know it's difficult to split the two up, but DEF CON is not Darknet, and Darknet is not DEF CON. These two things, they may be co-located, but they are not the same. So let's bring it back to DEF CON. Like, I'm excited for this DEF CON, as Silk said, because it's smaller. It's going to be easier to digest what's going on the ground at the con. And for those watching who haven't been part of Darknet, so shameless plug here for Silk's channel. We are trying to do live streams from the floor of DEF CON this year. In order to do that with our phones, we are going to need 1,000 subscribers. So please subscribe and like if you like the stream, or dislike if you dislike the stream.
If you really dislike it, like really, really dislike it, hit the dislike button.
Twice.
Yeah. Smitty, yes, it was DEF CON 22. I won the black badge.
And
I know it was just 1 year. I did win. I won Darknet. I mean, early years, it wasn't as much a competition. It was 4 years in a row, and there's a whole story there because only one of those 4 years was Black Badge though.
So I think this can be the year that we take DEF CON back from, and if Dark Tangents watching, my bad. We can take DEF CON back from the corporate overlords and actually have this become. I love DT, by the way. He's a badass.
DT's fantastic.
Darknet presents DEF CON.
It's not even, doesn't even have to be a Darknet thing. So we're on here. This isn't necessarily associated with Darknet. We met through the Darknet, but this is a random, we talk whatever we want to talk about channel. But taking back DEF CON and going and being like, okay, if there's a line con that happens, then let's step out of line and hold an impromptu talk. We can BS our way through most things and see if we can get people excited, start getting to ask questions. I'm introverted by nature, but when I go to DEF CON, I'm an extrovert because DEF CON's my family, and that's where I want to be. Those are the people that I want to hang out with. So I talk more, I'm more flamboyant, I do all kinds of random crazy things. But going back and saying, okay, is there a contest? Hey, would you guys want to learn lockpicking, since there's may or may not be a lockpicking village? Do you Wi-Fi cracking? Let's break out the laptop. We can just start talking about random things and get people enjoying it and making new friends, making new memories, and bringing the con back to us rather than saying, we have this track for this talk, we have this room for this guy talk, we have this village for specifically doing this. I mean, those are all great, but it's not how it actually started. It started with, we built what we wanted to build.
Be the change you want to be.
I think that hits on like what was so. Look, this is the reason I'm going this year. One, because I desperately miss and I want to cuddle Gowrie quite badly. But he got me into wearing kilts. It's a thing now. I'm wearing one right now, or no pants, one of the two. But is this concept of there's this glimpse in history that we have an opportunity within DEF CON, not Darknet presents DEF CON. Of DEF CON being so small, like you can't, like I got involved in DEF CON, I think it was like DEF CON 17-ish, somewhere around there, maybe before then. But it wasn't this small. It was still big. It was like 15,000, but like you're going to have this one opportunity to experience DEF CON where it's only 6,000 people. I mean, like that for me is worth me going out there because it's this tight knit, like this is the hardcore people going. Like I think it is. Like I think there's, and I'm so looking forward to that tight knit, these pop up talks that happen. I think Gulo's painting the picture. And yes, Smitty, this entire stream was an elaborate plan by us to try and manipulate you into coming.
Yeah,
let's be honest here. That's exactly what it is. He got us. It's been months long that has brought us to this moment.
The long con. It's finally paying off.
The long con with flaming assholes.
Yeah, this is the entire plan. But I mean, what do you guys think about that? Like, I feel like it's going to be a unique experience that's never going to be repeated. Well, I would say if it was repeated, something terrible has happened again.
I can tell you
the news.
I can tell you, I do know a handful of people that have recently pre-registered who have never gone to the conference before. So I think there's still going to be a good chunk of new people that show up. Like, I don't think it's just going to be the hardcore folks. I think it'll be obvious who is new and who is not. And I think that's the, like, so I think Gulo said it nicely. I think this year there's going to be a lot less incentive to try and make money off the crowd. Because it's going to be, there's a high volatility in terms of who's actually going to show up and why they're going to show up, right? The whole badge life concept was cool for like 2 years. And then after that, it was very clearly all about money. That's all it was about. Right. And you could tell, Say again?
It really bugged me because
Yeah.
the reason why we went through and did this was to help teach people something at an affordable cost, not to go make money. And literally, that's one thing with Darknet is that anytime I'm going back to the badge in Darknet for half a second.
Yeah, no, I was about to talk about it, but yeah.
Okay, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah. I was gonna say that the badge life thing was cool for like 2 years, and it didn't just start with Darknet. There were some that were floating around before that, but they weren't. But it wasn't an established thing. It was like a couple people showed up with their own custom things, and it wasn't something you could buy. You had to like convince them to trade you something or something like that. It's kind of like Boy Scout patches, right? In that sense. Now you can walk into a vendor area and have any of 200 badges, right? And that's what it's become. And like, to be clear, the quality of these things is you can go to the vendor area, buy a $70 badge that has some blinking lights on it, and that's it. Or you could go get the Darknet kit that has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and challenges built in and cryptograms on the silk screen and like all of these different things. And you get to learn how to solder and you put it together and you have to flash the badge. Like it is a con in a package, right? All by itself.
And you have to flash the badge, not because there's a bug, but because there's a learning opportunity.
Yes, exactly. But the point I'm trying to make is when it got to the point where there became a clear financial incentive to simply sell something, sell anything, because you had 30,000 people showing up and you were guaranteed to have that fear of missing out, that, I think with 6,000 people going, there has to be less than that, because there's
really quick interjecting since he's taking off. Smitty, thank you for joining. Gosh, it was awesome. Awesome going back and forth with you. But the other thing I'll throw out here is, I know two of the vendors who are going. One of them I've talked to. We have like a weekly call, and the vendors are struggling with, do we go hybrid? Like, I can't split my team between going hybrid and not hybrid. And he's going to end up going, but it's going to be remarkably limited vendor area. And I think I do think that's a good thing.
Yep.
So
I think
there's one point I have to cut in. Sorry. There's one point that Gallery was dancing around, and I just have to say this: yes, you can go out and buy a blinking badge for $70, $100. You can buy shitty add-ons for $20 or $30 to slap on those, and those are clearly money grabs. The Darknet, and this isn't necessarily a plug for Darknet, but the Darknet badge was $60, $70, $80. I don't even remember what our last one cost. But that was pretty close to our costs. We had markup on there so that we could recoup our costs, but our badge had more functionality than pretty much every other badge out there. And it was cheaper because we're not in it to make money. We're in it to do cool things with the community. And that's why we do what we do, not because of money.
It also had more hardware and more functionality than most DEF CON badges.
Yeah.
Just shameless plug, like there.
So,
and that is 100% true.
So what my point was not to compare us to that. That wasn't the point. My point was that these blinky, you said you could go get one of these money grubbing badges and they would be obvious. That's not true for your average conference goer, the person who shows up for the first time, right?
For the first
DEF
time,
CON, there's 5,000 plus people that show up for the first time every year. Now that we're 30,000 plus, large, you have a sizable chunk of people who have no idea how the con works. They don't necessarily know the difference. They want a piece of memorabilia, and that produces incentives to be able to, sell based on fear of missing out and getting those pieces of memorabilia. And I think that's fine to a certain extent. Where it's not fine is when it changes the conference. And I think, as we've been saying, with a small number of people showing up at the con, it's going to be really interesting because that incentive is gone. The people who are showing up are largely going to be people who quote unquote know. And I can't imagine selling a blinky light badge at this conference. Who's going to buy it?
Mm-hmm.
And unless it's the new folks that are coming that are new to the area, maybe. is what
Yeah,
I would
but if
say.
it's small, but if it's small enough, they probably know someone who's been going for a good chunk of time, and they're gonna they're gonna get told, no, don't buy the blinky light badge. That thing's worth like $5.
I hope.
Now,
I
there
hope.
are other badges out there that are blinky lights and that have other functionality and are
Yeah,
worth the purchase. But unless you know what you're looking for, then you're just going to drop a ton of money. And as Smitty was saying, it's e-waste.
yeah,
And I completely agree with that. I have a handful of badges outside of Darknet badges, but that's because I specifically select which ones that I purchase and which ones that I don't purchase. And I
Yep.
usually try to play with them as well. Some of them just sit in a drawer for years before I actually get around to going, I wonder what this
yeah.
does. But it's coming back to, I think that DEF CON has become more corporate. It's grown to the size where you've got microcosms, micro communities that are showing up. The Darknet's one of them. You've got cult followings such as scav hunts and those different types of competitions where that's all everyone talks about. That's all everyone does in that small group. But I think this year's the year that we can spend time to bridge things together and try to bring the community back and make it a community conference rather than the giant corporate one. As Smitty was saying, yes, if I really wanted to have a old school DEF CON 10, I would start my own conference. But dear God, would that be a dumpster fire if I had a Gulo conference?
So, okay, I want to stop you right there, though. I want to say that if you jump in and are doing it, you're giving back to the community. And even if it's the dumpster fire the first time, to be honest with you, man, again, you're going back to your community and to your local area more likely. So,
We've
I mean, that's why I started a Hackerspace to do just that. I want a DEF CON year round, but I can't go to Vegas every year. I want to find out those other people that are in my area and build it.
we've
When
actually
I
we've
say
actually talked about doing Darknet Con, although it kind of gets like whenever anyone discusses it. We've also talked
when
about
I
trying to do like a Darknet Village.
I
When
mean,
I say dumpster fire, I will probably have a dumpster fire village just for the sheer fact of there's multiple ways to light a dumpster on fire. There's safe ways or illegal ways. There's ways for warmth versus I just want to
Yeah.
watch things burn.
So I think it would. I think it's probably accurate to call DEF CON at this point a conference, right? Like each
Yes.
individual village is itself its own conference.
yeah, I agree with
And
that.
they may have the super tracks where they mishmash everything together and DEF CON selects their own talks and all that stuff. But at this point, it's a conference. It's a conference of conferences.
Yeah.
And that's why you have these sub communities and it gets clicky and all that stuff. And then there is a way to make money off of the spectacle of it, I suppose, that starts to pepper in everywhere.
If
I
you
don't.
look
Here's
at
the thing,
like
though. Is like, I don't think that's a terrible. I don't think that's a terrible thing. I mean, you're 30,000 people. There is naturally going to be segments that kind of there's. If you go to DEF CON, you're
not a
not
bad
going to be able to
thing.
experience everything. Like, there's no way. There's
Yeah.
too much to do.
Right? Yes.
I think what's so cool about it is you have like it takes time. It's not just a 1 year thing, and that's where we always push people to Darknet because obviously we're awesome. But is you find your tribe? Like you will find your tribe at DEF CON, whether
As
it's
long as you're not a wallflower.
yeah, as long
That's
as you're
the
not a
one.
wallflower.
What?
No, even
That's-
if you're a
no.
wallflower,
Man, we were all wallflowers.
I
Like,
think-
give me a break.
No,
You're-
I would say
you start
if
off-
you're getting involved. If you're getting involved, though, yeah, go ahead.
you start off being a wallflower. But my point is, like, I think you find your tribe. Like Scav Hunt again. I just keep shouting out Scav Hunt because those guys are just awesome.
They're
like
amazing.
I just like they're just awesome. Like each and every one of them. But I think you will find your tribe there. It just takes time, and like the villages are where you can start to find those people you really connect with. Whether it's like if you're into social engineering, if you're just into like just being like woo out there, social engineering is a great place. Hardware hacking. Biohacking, like, but that's the reason why we always shove people to Darknet is because it is the centralized place which shoves you all out to the other aspects. So either way,
So
shameless plug.
there's one thing. So Taylor mentioned something about DEF CON and capitalism. I do want to specify this. DEF CON, I'm sure, makes a little bit of money, but it's not. I don't believe it's the goal of DEF CON to make money. They're holding the conference because they want to have cool people do cool things. There are other factions at the conference, like the vendor areas, whose goal is to make money. There are grifters and all kinds of other things that go there to sell blinky badges for absorbent costs because they can and they want to make money. It's DEF CON isn't there to make money. To Silk's point of a conference of conferences, to me, DEF CON is now just like E3, where you have all these booths set up by all these different companies. The difference is it's E3 with Adderall. So if I go to the Lockpick Village, I'm going to sit at that Lockpick Village for the next 3 days and work on it. I have the choice to move on when my ADD tells me to, but realistically, this is too much fun. I'm not going to move.
Yeah.
Get that dopamine fix, man.
That's fairly. I would say it's become the industry conference, right? Like the real industry conference is its sister conference, Black Hat, and that's where the people actually spend their money. Like when I say the people, I mean the corporations. That's where the corporations really spend their money. They can buy talks and stuff. We're going to leave that one alone.
That doesn't happen.
We're definitely going to leave that one alone. There's probably some bad blood there. Do you guys remember the one talk? Do you guys remember the one talk from? It was like the AI OS or something like that got called out for bullshit during the talk, and they're like, "How did this make it through the Black Hat review? Like it was bullshit on its face." Yeah,
and
how did they get through?
My fondest memory of Black Hat was a couple of years ago, probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago. John McAfee threw a party at Black Hat that I went to, and it was open bar, open food. It was everything. I didn't drink or eat anything because I thought that he was trying to do like a mass suicide of everyone on the
roof. I went to
the party. I didn't think I was going to get shot, but I thought he would at least try to poison everyone.
Was that the year that McAfee gave the talk at DEF CON where he was just like, and this time when I was living in Brazil, I was someone tried to abduct me and I had to hide under a truck for like 2 days.
That was the same year. That was the year he went up there and he was like, "How many of you have daughters under 16?" Man,
oh God.
Yeah, right. So this was like the first or second year I had helped out with the DEF CON booth, to where he had his talk in the contest area. The entire room got packed. Hearing this guy's quote unquote life story, holy crap, he was off his rocker, and still is. Like,
you know what was crazy? I remember that talk I remember Darknet was in the corner in that room. And I remember sitting in the back listening to him talk and the crowd going crazy when he said, "I want phones to have a physical off switch that turns all internal communications off," and the crowd goes nuts. And then he proceeds to talk about how his phones were being tracked in South America and tells the whole story. And you're just like, wait, what was I just clapping for?
What have I done?
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
That was the rib,
dude,
man.
I mean, all things said and done, like the spectacle that DEF CON has become, it's not without its entertainment. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. There's a reason why we all keep going back. I mean,
and
mostly
Vegas,
for Gulo stories.
It's for Gulo stories. It's to see our friends, man, because we only get to see them maybe once or twice a year, and being able to get back together with that community. And it doesn't matter what your background is. We're all there to hang out, learn something new, and visit with friends. So,
all right.
Man,
so let's jump back on this topic. What are we planning to do? All right, Gulo, go ahead.
So, to hear Gulo stories, yes, if we go to DEF CON and you find me, I will tell Gulo stories. I don't go to DEF CON to tell Gulo stories. I go to DEF CON to create Gulo stories.
Yeah.
It's the whole urinal cake thing all over again. And these aren't things that are planned.
The story.
I get that Gowry's like, hey, what are we going to do there? I may have a couple of ideas in my back pocket that I may or may not do, but they're not, I don't have any structure to them. It's like, I think that I'm going to go to LineCon and pass out alcohol to everyone, or I don't know. I'll take a bullhorn so that I can sit in the chill out lounge and annoy the shit out of everyone. I don't really have any like concrete plans of what I'm going to do while I'm there, because the best stories are the ones that happen organically and
Yes.
cause random amounts of chaos that aren't planned.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
B, the Gulo story. My plans at DEF CON, honestly, are very simple. Like, I want to compete in Hack Fortress. I want to do Scav Hunt because I've never had the opportunity to do it before.
God,
That's obviously why we keep talking them up. It's for bonus points. That's what it is. We don't actually know. I'm just kidding. I love those guys. But that's in mostly though. Beyond that is just to hang out with the hacker fam and cuddle Gowry. That's
So
it's really it.
We have I was looking at Scav Hunt. We've talked about doing Scav Hunt collectively. Scav Hunt is technically done as individuals. There's no teams, so only one person is ranked on the board. But so this is interesting though, because they posted this. Scav Hunt is hybrid this year, which pretty much means that you have to compete in a team. If there are things that you can only do in person, then you are at immediate disadvantage by not operating on a team that is both in person and hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
So
Scav Hunt is, so the last year it was virtual and they said no teams. It was, you need to be single player. But realistically, Scav Hunt's always been team based. When you win Scav Hunts, so when you're in person, when you win Scav Hunts, if it's a black badge, then one person gets that black badge in that team.
Yeah.
But I've been hanging out with the Scav Hunt guys for like a decade or more. And they do, oh crap, it's been way over a decade now. And you have to have, on your Scav Hunt team, you generally have the smart person that can figure things out. You have the money person who just has expendable cash that can go buy whatever random thing that you need. And then you have 1, 2, or 3 people that have no shame whatsoever. So when you have to show up, when you have to walk up to the Scav Hunt and you're wearing a Cheese Whiz bikini, it's not because you have a bikini on underneath. It's because you use Cheese Whiz as the bikini. And you go up there, or you have to cover your entire body with hand sanitizer. Those are things where it's the people that have no shame come in handy because they don't care.
And it's definitely you're going with the handle. No one is going to remember your real name. It's okay. It's never going to get connected back to your real personality. It's okay.
Yeah. That's
it's really
you just need to own it. So I just find the wording on the Scav Hunt team thing, or on the Scav Hunt team thing, is it goes to even the playing field between those remote and in person. We continue to limit the game to single players only. The top 3 teams will receive prizes.
Yes.
Of course.
So Scav Hunt is one of those ones that's what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, except for chemical burns, news stories, and YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Amen. And don't worry. If you subscribe and like the channel, we will be live streaming at DEF CON and saving this all for the world to experience firsthand.
You should. Are you gonna bring stacks of release forms so that you can?
Oh sheesh! No, I'll have to bring. I'll bring this lens so you get the blurry background, so everyone else's face is blurry, and we'll probably do that. And at least that's what I'll be telling people. That's
yeah.
You're getting the bokeh effect.
Oh, there is a.
You're walking around with a selfie stick.
To be clear, we do have to have that discussion, because in prior years when media was there, DEF CON has kicked media out before for not They're not allowed to. You're not allowed to record in common areas, and anytime you speak with somebody, you have to get permission. So, like, if we're going to live stream from the conference, we need to check in on that process.
Those rules have been laxed a lot in the last 5 or 6 years, because it used to be you couldn't take photos without permission, and now no one. I don't think they can police it because how prolific cell phone recording is now.
Yeah,
right.
It just became something that was so monolithic that they can't deal with it. That's how I ended up on 60 Minutes. Was I was at DEF CON and they recorded me without my permission. Because I don't even remember what they said, but I'm pretty sure it was bad.
Gulo knows, or not Gulo, Gator knows what that's all about. I heard if you plug in the USB and you can dump out all the codes.
You got it, man. just use the included USB, baby. It's okay.
I can't help but think, like, I don't know. Maybe we talk to DEF CON. See if we can be like the official live streamers at DEF CON.
That'd be cool.
Probably not. And maybe it's Scav Hunt. If nothing else, just say we want to live stream Scav Hunt and see what happens. I don't know. Yeah. Reach out to Dark Tangent.
We need a body cam for the front and back of you for each individual playing, and you're gonna need a shit ton of battery packs because you're gonna be running. So I mean, might as well just get like your 50-pound vest jacket for training, so when you're running, you've got the whole thing set up ready to go.
What's going to be awkward too is if I use this camera, it's not going to be like a little camera and a selfie stick. It's going to be like the big giant mic, the full SLR, and you're like, hey guys, like have the full microphone just hanging down, like attached to my head. Like, oh yeah, it'll be great.
So, just as context, if you do decide to live stream Scav Hunt, it's not going to be on YouTube or Twitch.
It will be on Gulo's OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's only Gulo. Only Gulo.com.
Are you saying that we may have to
Wait,
to make
that
our own
domain
streaming
exist?
service? We're gonna find out right now.
Oh gosh, I think though it's probably a good spot to start wrapping up. Though we had talked about DEF CON for so much. I for one am stoked to go. But with that, what's final comments? There has to be some final comments. Gator, how about you start us off?
So this will be the first physical DEF CON that I will miss that has been in person, which hurts me a little bit, but at the same time, for me and my family and risk factor, this works out. I'm glad that we're having these to where I'll be able to continue talking with y'all. We'll be able to see each other in person and have the community and welcome more people online. So with that, I'm still excited that it's coming around the corner and it's not that far away. So with
what's
that
the countdown? I feel like you have that countdown somewhere.
Oh, you know I have the countdown.
Oh, he's got it. He posted it earlier.
You ready? So it's a 6 weeks, 4 days, 15 hours.
As a quick story here, every time we do a Darknet meeting, Gator starts off it with T minus blah 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 to DEF CON, and we all get terrified each and every time. So what's the countdown?
The countdown is 6 weeks, 4 days, 14 hours, 50 minutes, and 0 seconds. Or do you want that in days, hours, minutes, and seconds?
Oh God.
We actually have on the Darknet team, like we're letting you guys in some of the inside secrets of how we manage the Darknet team. We actually have a panic team whose only job it is to panic about how close to DEF CON we are. That's I'm not lying. Like, we have a panic team.
Yeah, absolutely.
We also have a fun team to keep us sane during the conference.
Yeah,
I was gonna say those guys have sucked, man. We need to get better fun teamers.
Oh wow.
I'm teasing, of course.
All right, Gary, push us along here.
I don't know. I have to think about. I mean, we're gonna try Scav Hunt this year. At least I want to try Scav Hunt this year. But I think Gator's got a point. I think I'll have some things up my sleeve for LineCon, and I'll just bust out a PowerPoint slide in a 3-ring binder. To be like, here's what we're talking about while we're here for 6 hours waiting for our badges.
Please say it'll be an overhead projector.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get one of those pocket projectors that I can hook up to my phone, right? We're planning to get new phones. Maybe I'll get that hooked up. They're like $100 now. So yep. I think we could do that. Gulo?
I am now the proud owner of onlygulo.com.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
amazing.
It's going to be a thing.
I'll get the forwarder up in the next couple of days. So if you guys really want to find my OnlyFans, then I'll have it pointed there.
Yes.
With that, guys, as always, thank you so much for joining us on stream. Whether it's hybrid, whether it's in person, hopefully we see you at DEF CON. Join the community and hack on.